Morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. Once again, I am too lazy to go back inside and show you my gizmo, but I am in sleeveless and I think it's about 70. Now I'm a little cooler now than I was earlier, but I was sitting in the sun before. I think I'm going to ask Dennis to put the umbrella up today or tomorrow. But I was up early today because Joe came. Joe is our appliance repair guy who could not fix our washer, but he did fix our stove, our oven. So our oven is now working again. Hallelujah. We do have two ovens, so we haven't been sort of left with no oven, but we are very happy to have both ovens again. We've managed to go through all the crackers we made last week, so I will be making crackers today or tomorrow. But I did cook yesterday. I made my chili paneer for dinner, so that was good. But that wasn't the big event of the day. The big event of the day was we took the dogs to visit Aura. And Maisie went crazy. And anyway, I got tangled up in the leash trying to help Dennis with the dogs, and she knocked me over and I fell in the middle of the parking lot. And guess what? When I'm jiggled like that and there are people watching, I cannot get up from the middle of the parking lot by myself. Well, given enough time, I probably could have, but it's embarrassing, and and people are trying to help you in a way that isn't necessarily working. And anyway, so we were right in front of the living room windows at Aura's living room, in part so everybody could see her beat the dogs, and in case they were in the living room. And luckily Sasha and Amanda were both watching and came running out, and they are professional lifters and I'm apparently a two-person lift, and they got me up. I was not injured, except I got a boo-boo on my finger. Other than that, I'm fine. In fact, I was a little surprised last night, because this happened like at 2 o'clock. And, in the evening, I'm like, I'm not even sore. I don't get that. And, it was kind of a slow descent, and it's very possible that I got, caught somehow on Maisie. She's the one who knocked me over, but I probably kind of a little bit landed on her and she kind of broke my fall. She's not injured, and I only have a tiny boo-boo on my finger. So, right? Aura's more injured because she put her foot up, which she wasn't supposed to do, and scratched Aura's leg. Aura was in shorts. So Aura has a new scratch. And Maisie is banned from visiting Aura, but Maisie's not Aura's favorite. Let's face facts. Pearl is Aura's favorite, and Pearl was a good girl. And so we are very likely to take Pearl back. And in fact, when we give them her paperwork and everything, she will be able to go inside, yes. So, but not Maisie. Maisie can't go. Oh, I forgot. I did bring a lipstick. I picked this, closed my eyes and stuck my hand in. This is a Mary Kay color that is very, very neutral. Well, I'm feeling very, very neutral now, so I think it'll work just fine. But you won't probably even be able to tell. That I'm wearing it, but also you won't be able to tell that I did a terrible job putting it on. So anyway, that was kind of a bummer. It did shake me up. Luckily I had made dinner before we went, and so I didn't really have to do much after that, and I didn't do much after that. I have discovered, I don't think I told you this yesterday. If I did, I apologize. I have discovered the Equalizer TV show. Now, I'm a big fan of the Denzel Washington Equalizer movies. I love Mia. They're a little revengey, and, a superhero. It's kind of like a superhero. So, but for some reason, I wasn't interested in the TV show. I had seen, I don't know, I think I told you this yesterday, didn't I? I had watched one of the TV shows and I wasn't interested in, so I didn't watch it for a while. But I'm looking for something to binge watch. And now it's on Netflix, so I don't have to watch any commercials, which helps a lot. And I am a Queen Latifah fan, I do have to say, and she plays the main character. So, so I started watching The Equalizer. So I just sat there and watched The Equalizer, read my phone, and chilled. Oh, but one thing I did was I got down on the friggin' floor, and I got up by myself without, crawling to anything to help me. I got, like if I'm in the middle of a parking lot, but it wasn't easy. It was hard for me to get up from the floor without, being with a chair or anything, just getting straight off the floor with nothing to help me do that. So that is my new exercise plan. And Dennis said, well, when you finally get yourself to physical therapy, that's one of the things that you can have them help you work on. So I obviously need to strengthen some muscles and do some things, but I did last night get down on the floor and get up without help of any kind. Just my hands and knees on the ground. Of course, I was on the carpeting. The other thing that happens when you fall is you often hurt yourself. So now you're trying to do these things while you are hurt. And typically, the way I normally fall, not that I normally fall, I'd end up on my knees. And my knees are already hurt me sometimes just because I have knee things going on. So that's a part of the problem too in a real life situation. But my knees actually are a little sore today. And I think it's as much from the getting up in the parking lot and the getting up in the living room as anything. I try to stay off my knees because my knees hurt just from pressure. So anyway, that's one thing I did last night was I started my new routine, getting the heck off the floor. My sister was always terrified of falling because she couldn't get up. She couldn't get up. And she was a big girl, and she had fallen at one point in an airport, and two, big wrestling guys were able to get her up, but she just, after that, was just completely terrified of falling. Now, it's never good for people my age to fall. It's never good for anybody to fall, but I don't want to be terrified of falling. I want to be able to help myself unless I'm super injured. But I'm a 2-person lift. They were so sweet. They were so sweet. These are women who, work with Aura or, in her ward, her area. And anyway, they're just lovely. The people where she is are just lovely. And they treat their residents with complete respect. It's very nice. It's very nice. I wish I had a memory of that for when my mom was being cared for. Anyway, it does make me feel like we're doing the best we can. But the nurse took Aura away. I can't treat that scratch out here, and so Aura was done with Maisie anyway. So that was that. Well, now we know that doesn't work so great. Certainly not with the rascal dog Maze. So that was yesterday's excitement. This morning, Joe came, and I had to get up a little earlier than normal, not very much earlier, and it's, it's nice. He called and said, I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, good. So I could get dressed and brush my teeth and get Dennis a cup of tea and make my coffee. And just as I'm done making my coffee, he arrived. And what I did was, the girls usually go out when we get up, but I usually open the dog door. I did not. I just let them out, and so they were stuck out in the backyard I made my coffee and I came and I sat down and I took one sip of coffee and I looked over and there was Joe's truck pulling in the driveway. So I just left the girls in the back. But so that worked out very well. And it didn't actually take very long for him to replace the element. Had to turn off the electric in the panel. But I'm hearing a bird. I think that's a woodpecker. But you aren't going to believe this. I finally put Merlin on my phone. I've been using Dennis to tell me what the birds are because he put Merlin on his phone. It was his, I've told you that before. But I finally sitting here, I'm like, I'm not going to wait for him to get up. Let me find out. So I put Merlin on my phone, and I've never used it before. So it turns out, it records what it hears, and then it just scrolls up the birds that it found. But I didn't realize, I didn't stop the recording. So it recorded for 10 minutes before I came back to it to see what was going on. This is how many birds it heard in my neighborhood. The northern cardinal, blue jay, Carolina wren, song sparrow, white-throated sparrow, American robin, American goldfinch, tufted titmouse, barn swallow, downy woodpecker, red-billed woodpecker, red-bellied, I can't read my writing, red-bellied woodpecker, northern flicker, house sparrow, northern parula. I have never heard of a parula, P-A-R-U-L-A, northern parula, and a red-shouldered hawk. Those are the birds in my neighborhood. Crazy, right? I live in a great place. I really do. I'm very lucky. So that's been my morning. So I was up a little earlier than usual, and Dennis said it was like 40 degrees when he took the dogs out last night around 1 o'clock, 12:30. So I thought, oh, it's going to be chilly. I put my sweater on, and I got up, it was 68. I'm like, wow. And I was in the sun. Well, it was 65, and I was in the sun, so I could take off my sweater. And yeah, now I'm a little bit in the shade, which is nice. But I am going to talk to Dennis about putting the umbrella up one of these days. So, because the very early in the morning, it's very sunny. We have the eastern facing backyard. The deck is facing east, which is perfect, really, because, the morning sun is lovely and the afternoon sun can be brutal in the summer, and the house shades the deck from the afternoon sun. So it's really a little bit perfect. But when you get up early, out in the deck earlier than normal, like 9 o'clock in the morning, it's full sun on the chairs and table and everything. So the umbrella will be very nice to have. But it's so beautiful out here now. Yep. I should have looked at the gizmo. It's probably 72 and a slightly little bit breezy. And that'll be a good day to plant my plants on the deck, because as you can see, I didn't put any plants back. Oh, here. Wait. There you go. I'd put the Gerber daisies over there, but I haven't put one there, but it is a little breezy, and they're a little taller, and they'll fall over, and I don't want them to fall over. But I will do some planting today, I hope. We are going to go see Aura today. And I do want to make crackers. And I need to make a little bit of progress on my list. So we shall see. Tomorrow we're going to the eye doctor to get eye exams, and it's kind of a big project because it's 45 minutes away from home. So, it's like an all afternoon thing. Kim will be with her mother tomorrow, so we don't have to worry about that. And so, yeah, I was saying, Kim's like, yeah, it's a little disappointing that mom, wants to go home. But she says, she sees me a lot more now than she did when she was living with you. I'm like, boy, that's for sure. Kim has been very attentive to her since she moved in to her new place, so that's been very nice. So that gives Dennis and me the choice if we want to go or not. You know, like we went to take the dogs yesterday and Kim was there. Because so far she hasn't had a day where somebody in her family didn't come to visit her. I was too far away from my mom to be able to go visit her every day. So, you do what you can do. Meanwhile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 birds out there yelling at me in a 10-minute stretch. Pretty fun. Pretty fun. Nephew Jason recommended a bird feeder, you know, since we have that bird feeding house over there. He recommended a very snazzy bird feeder, which he has, and we're thinking about getting that. And I'm not sure exactly where to do it because the problem on our deck is that this railing, the height when you're sitting there, especially if you're sitting on, excuse me, the other side of the table, which the view would be better. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. The railing just really cuts the view off at an inconvenient level. And, you know, there's nothing to be done about that because a lower railing would be unsafe and a higher railing would, I don't know. Then you'd be looking through the bars. But anyway, so I'm not sure exactly where to put it so that it would be fun to watch. Maybe on the other side of the shed over there. But then we need our binoculars to see what the birds are. But we have binoculars. In fact, for a while there, our binoculars, you know, in the summer, our binoculars often live out here on the table. So, but anyway. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I hope I make the crackers because I want to have the crackers. And we're definitely going to go visit Aura. I mean, I don't have to go. Dennis goes sometimes by himself, but I go sometimes by myself. I'm sure he wants to go today just to check on her scratch and see how she's doing. But those are the only two things really on the agenda. Maybe I'll open my sketchbook where I made my notes. You know, I made a list while I was on the train. I didn't sketch, but I made a list. I don't think I put sketching on my list. I should have. I still can. A few things I could put on my list that I didn't think of while I was on the train. So meanwhile, I'm going to go. Maybe I'll plant my plants. At a minimum, I'm going to water my plants so that they survive. It's interesting. I thought I got two different colors of oh, I thought these were oh, they are impatiens. So I got this color, and I got this color, and to tell you the truth, they're very close. This is a little pinker, orangey pink, and this is a little purpley pink. Not too different, so we shall see, but that's all right. I did not buy a whole flat of impatiens. I only bought these two, so that's good, because too many, I feel guilty like causing the deaths of impatiens because I didn't do anything with them. But I'm not buying any more plants till I get these planted, and I haven't figured out what to do in the window boxy thing that's right behind me on the other side of that railing. But I want flowers, but I don't want tall flowers because you can see tall flowers would like block the view. It's really, I think Dennis, when he first built it, he put herbs in it. And herbs would still be lovely, and you know, but we don't need mint. My mint is going so great. My mint is really doing well. I'm gonna have to start switching to my mint drinks. So, meanwhile, I'm taking my bird list and I'm going in. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to go just sit over it. Woodpecker. I don't know what kind. It could be a downy woodpecker or a red-bellied woodpecker, because those are in the neighborhood. I had my Merlin on, I could tell, but I have you on instead. All right, this is it for today. I am not, my arm is a little sore, and this is like my not sore arm. So maybe, well, you know, it's hard to know. Maybe the getting up off the floor in the living room was partly, you know, whatever. Anyway, I'm fine. I'm really fine. And determined to work on that, because that wasn't good. Meanwhile, I'm going to go. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please, please stay safe and stay safe.